What if just 7 thoughts could totally change your life? Our guest today suffered from clinical depression and anxiety. His name is Issac Robledo, and he's written books about how to become a happier, more peaceful version of yourself and feel truly fulfilled based on 7 thoughts that completely changed his life and brought him into the light. If you're ready to rewire your mindset and start living on purpose, hit that subscribe button because we talk about how to have clarity that you may have been searching for every single week. Welcome to Good Mood Revolution. Issac, welcome to Good Mood Revolution.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Man, you and I are going to have such a good time today talking about the 7 thoughts that can lead us to a happier life. And I know before we hit record, we were talking about which of these 7 has had the most profound impact on your life. The one that hit with you is also the one that hit with me. So let's start our episode today with the most powerful of these 7 thoughts that made the biggest change. What is that thought for you? And can you kind of tell us like why you were led to it?
Yeah, the way I phrase it specifically in the book is to focus on the positive and not on the negative. And so that was one that basically when I was in graduate school about 15 years ago, I was having a really, really tough time in my first semester, actually, which is, I suppose a lot of times people start to have a difficult period with those transitions in life. But for me, it was just a lot of work. I didn't feel like I had the support system that I needed in place, right? At least not right there, because I was out of state. I was in a place all on my own. So I was just gradually, and I think that's why I didn't even notice it myself. I was sort of gradually slipping into a dark void. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. What
did it start to feel like in that dark void? You know, I've been there, and there might be our listener today that's been there or is there now. What did it feel like as you were slipping into this darkness?
Yeah, it felt like I was no longer connected to myself. Like, in a weird way, at times it felt like an out of body experience because I was no longer really connecting to who I was or who I am. And there's so many different things that went into it, but one way or another, I wound up there. But the basic issue for me was probably just feeling way overworked. It was a PhD program, actually, so I was just way too overworked. And I was sort of keeping up with it, but at a certain point, I couldn't because my mental health was lapsing. And it was happening gradually where I wasn't conscious of the fact that I was slipping into this. I knew something wasn't right, but I wasn't really conscious of the fact that I was slipping into more of a negativity. And eventually it gets so negative, it's actually like a sort of a void where I don't even know that negativity describes it. After a certain point, it did become clinical depression. Unfortunately, I wasn't even aware. Like, that's a big part of the issue. People don't always understand is it's not that you slip into a mental health issue. It's that if you're not even aware of it to understand that you're there, like, of course you're not going to get help. But so in lapsing into that tremendous negativity, to the point where I could no longer do my work after a certain point. I mean, like it was like 100 hours of work I was putting in per week, and I just couldn't keep up with it after a certain point. And so basically I felt forced into getting help, into seeking professional help at that point. But aside from that, well, let's get to the part. So why did this focus on the positive? Like, how did that come about, right? So around that period, I decided to experiment more with meditation because I knew that there were some benefits there. And at times I would allow myself to go really, really, really deeply into that meditation to the point where sometimes I could be in there for an hour session, which I've never been a professional meditator, so I think that was pretty good for me, pretty long period for me.
That's a crazy long meditation session, dude.
Yeah. I think that's trying to like compete with the monks or something. So, and in one of those sessions, I had an epiphany of insights that came to me. And one of those was focus on the positive. But beyond that, there's certain things that I cannot fully explain with that insight and how it came. I don't know where it came from, first of all. But it came to me, and the greater or deeper insight was an awareness that my entire life, and especially up until that period of, leading up into my issues in graduate school, I was so focused on negativity, so attracting it, and so drawn to it and manifesting it, whatever words you want to use. I was all into the negativity of worrying, assuming that people had bad perception of me or whatever it may be, but just creating it more and more and more in my own life, to the point where my mind was basically haywire. It was basically full throttle negative thoughts all day, every day. And I hadn't realized that's the direction I was going in until that meditative epiphany session, where the true awareness wasn't just, focus on like that seems sort of like, anybody on the street could probably stop you until you focus on the positive. But the deeper awareness for me was I had gone 100% in the wrong direction, and I needed to change my life. And unfortunately, I wish that epiphany could immediately have changed my life. It didn't. It probably took years. I mean, it was a gradual process.
Well, I'm so glad you're being real about that. It's because you got the epiphany. It was somehow most likely implanted in your mind by something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. But the meditative space allowed you to be open to receiving a positive message. You receive the message. And then the honest truth is that when we've gone into such a dark place, it takes a long time to rewire those thoughts and actually get into a light place. I had a very similar situation I write about in my book when I was battling with the emotion of hopelessness. And one of my friends was like, man, Matt, you should probably hang around some more positive people. And I was like, man, screw you. I am a positive person. I don't need you to tell me I should go hang out with positive people. That's how my mind was. My mind was so negative. He, of course, could see it. He was a good friend. He could see that I was in a really negative headspace, but I didn't notice it myself. And it was upon reflecting what he said that I finally was honest with myself that no, actually, I'm pretty negative, and I do need to be around positive people. One of the quotes in your section on focus on the positive, not the negative, is from Oprah Winfrey. And she says, surround yourself with only people who are going to lift you higher.
I have thoughts on probably every quote in the book. That one, I do love it. The other side that I would keep in mind is that we do have to look out for people who are, let's say, having their own troubles or their own issues, which I know me and you know that. It's just something that I would like to make sure is clear for the listener. But it also depends on where you are in your own life. If you're not able to handle somebody who's toxic negativity, then don't bother with it. If that's not for you, I get that too. So.
In that moment, what I needed was my buddy Matt to say, go hang out with some positive people. They might brighten your mindset. And I didn't need to hang out with the people who were commiserating with me about how bad things were.
Right.
I needed some people that were talking about how great things were.
And one important thing I would say that I think helped me and might help somebody else if they're going through an issue like that is I found it very important it was a very positive step for me, is I found it very important to finally, and it was very difficult at that time, but I found it very important to sort of wake up a little bit and decide that it was okay to open up to some people and let them know that I'm struggling, and even just opening up a little bit and telling people that were close in my life, which sounds bizarre now, but a lot of the closest people in my life didn't even know because I wasn't living with them. I was living in another state at that point. But
wow. Yeah, it's powerful, man. And a lot of times when we're suffering, there's a lot of reasons that we want to suffer in silence. We think maybe they would judge us. We think maybe we would bring them down and be a burden on them. There's we start to rationalize in our head why we need to carry this burden on our own. And you said one of the ways you got out of it was starting to go to social gatherings and hang out with other people and be social. And sometimes the last things especially when we're feeling depressed, the last thing we want to do is be with people. But I found that myself is that when I say yes to these invitations, my mood always brightens. Now let's focus on one of these other 7 quotes to live your life by. What would be the next one that you think was really powerful for you in your journey?
For that's easy. I would have to go back to the first one because to me, the first one is focus on what you can control, not on what you cannot. And I think ultimately everything seems to sort of go back to what can you actually control in your life. And that's to me, like I've thought about this quite a bit since even after I, finished the book and everything. It's a tricky topic because we have control over so much, and many people sort of disempower themselves and say, well, I couldn't possibly influence this or that, or what am I supposed to do about that situation over there? But the reality is we could, tap into our own sort of power, our own influence. But ultimately the way I really meant it in the book is control over your immediate self and your immediate life and the things most important to yourself. So, and then there's another sort of philosophy is what I'm trying to say, a sort of counter thought to this, that what do we really truly have control over? And it may not be much if we're truly real about it. It may not be much, but there's still stuff you can do. Like it's complicated, right? I'm trying to just frame both sides of that. So.
Yeah. The 3 most highlighted quotes on Goodreads of your book all had to do with focus on what you can control and not what you can't. And I'll read those 3 quotes here. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. And then you say, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength.
Yeah. It's mainly that is mainly what it boils down to, that you mainly have some sort of control over your mind. And even that can be tricky because, as I said, like if you don't properly train the mind and train it to focus on the right kinds of thoughts, then you can start to lose some control over your own mind.
Yeah, when I was going through this positivity journey myself, I didn't realize I had control over my mind. I didn't realize I had control over my emotional state. I kind of thought emotions were like storm clouds, and when the storm was coming and the dark clouds were coming, I just kind of had to hunker down and deal with it and wait for the sun to come out again. I didn't realize that I was creating the storm clouds.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that I've realized too, that we have a lot more. That's what I'm trying to say here, that as much as we don't have control, if you stop and think about things more deeply, there's so much that you actually can control because you're in your own mind. So there's something you can do there to influence your own mind and your own focus.
Yeah. So while we couldn't change the past, that's an external event, or I can't control, the other quote that's really highlighted in your book is, no matter what your choices are, you truly have no control about what people think of you. I have no control of other people's thoughts. They have control over that. I don't. Could I influence it? Sure. But whatever they think of me that's their business. I have no control over what other people do. If they choose to betray me or to harm me or to do something that I don't like, that's outside of my control. But what I do have control over is what I think about what they do or what I think about what they think. And this is powerful. I mean, for me, this is one of the most powerful thoughts about becoming a happy person, is taking full responsibility for what we can take responsibility for, which is our attitude, our thoughts, and our emotions. Once we do that, man, we kind of figured life out. The next quote, or the next the thought to live your life by is focus on what you can do, not on what you cannot do. Now, this is
Yeah,
different than control versus not control. What does this one mean to you, and why is it a
I
powerful
think
thought?
this one goes deeper into actions precisely because the control one actually, in a way, that one gets into the mind. Like you really ultimately have control over your own mind. In some cases, well, anyway, the can do one is more about what you physically can do, the options you have available to you. And I find this very useful as well because a lot of times I hear people talk and they say, well, I couldn't do this. Or sometimes even worse, what irritates me a little bit is they'll say, I've never done this before, with the implication. They don't even say that I can't do it. It's just the implication, well, I couldn't possibly do it if I've never done it before. And I understand, everybody has anxiety or issues, or you have to place boundaries on what you're going to do in life. But, I don't like hearing when that becomes a reason not to move forward with something that's important in your life, at least.
I've only outlawed one word in my family. Mm-hmm. We have 4 young kids. Mm-hmm. The only word they're not allowed to say is can't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because it's that toxic. It's that backwards in society where, yeah, I totally see that. Yeah.
And they're young, they're kids, and they'll say, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Or my son's only 3 and he wants me to get things down that are higher. And he's like, I can't get it. I can't reach it. And I'm like, we're not going to use that word. Or we go to the playground last weekend and he says, I can't climb this ladder. Mm-hmm. And it looks scary. I just, I don't like the word can't, mm-hmm. or this idea that I can't do something. Sure, there's some things I can't do. I can't dunk a basketball on a 10-foot rim, but just saying that is limiting me. Right. Or him saying I can't climb this ladder at the jungle gym is limiting him, or I can't get this thing that's up high is limiting him. And the way I teach my kids is that I say, well, what can we do? Mm-hmm. So you need that thing that's up high. What could you do? Well, he's like, well, I'm asking you to get it. I'm like, great. So you can get it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so I'm grabbing it. I'm handing it to you. I'm like, oh, so you actually could get that thing. Mm-hmm. You just had to get resourceful in how you got it. Or you can't climb this ladder. Well, what could you do? Could you ask me to guide you? And then all of a sudden I'm guiding him and I'm making sure that he's getting, and now he's up. We go to the same park last night. He climbed the ladder 15 times. I couldn't get him off the ladder. So once he learned that he actually could do it by overcoming the fear of it, but this isn't just for a 3-year-old. This is for me too. When I start to say, oh, I couldn't do that, or I can't do that, I'm limiting myself. Well, what could I do to accomplish the same thing through a different way, maybe, than what I was thinking?
And you made a great point there too, though. A lot of times this is based on fear. With your 3-year-old, it was based on the fear of, climbing up high. But a lot of adults too, I think we don't stop and reflect, why is my immediate judgment call that I can't do that thing? It's because it's convenient, because it would be scary to move forward on, whatever that topic is.
The next one you have is focus on what you have and not on what you do not have. This is interesting because we want to set goals on stuff we don't have yet. Mm-hmm. Why is it one of the most?
I agree with you that I've reflected on all these more through the years, and I don't think I wouldn't go so far as to revise any of these. I think what I would say is these had to do with the point where I was in my life, where I think many readers may find themselves at a similar point too. But basically, this one is, we hear about it all the time now, gratitude. This is a different way of framing that. I wouldn't go so far as to say, and I know, I understand what you're saying. I said, focus on what you have. And I specifically say, not on what you do not have. I would say this one in the end is actually a little bit tricky. I think it is a really good starting point to focus on what you have. I think basically what I would say is most of us are not properly, being as grateful as we could be and being appreciative of what we have as we could be, and acknowledging that the things we have today, they're not certain to have them tomorrow or another day, so, have goals and go after what you want to do. I'm doing it too. We all have to have dreams and go after what we want to do. But I'm saying also, try to be grateful for what you have. Reflect on it a little bit, what you have.
So well said. And it's such an important, to me, the way it's written is perfect. Because our mind is always, and it's just the nature of the human mind again, is if it's good and we have it, it puts it out of mind. It's like, okay, that's good. I don't need to think about that. But it wants what that person has. It wants what this person has. It wants more. It wants more, and it's insatiable. So the only way to actually feel fulfilled and happy is to say, wait a minute, right now in this moment, I have everything I need. In fact, I have way more than I need. There's so much abundance around me. Like at this moment, I'm totally fulfilled, at peace and happy because of what I have right now. It's enough. But our mind will never tell us that.
Right. And that's how I see it too. Like I have goals, I'm going for things, but the way I reflect on it is I'm fine with just what's there now. I'm fine with whatever this is. Like just a silly example, but something like if it's a weekend, I'm like, oh, I feel like going out to dinner. But I mean, at the same time, I'll be like, well, it's okay if I have ramen noodles at home, that's okay too. Like it's going to be fine.
I was surfing this morning and my buddy Jimmy, he injured his knee and he hasn't been able to surf or play basketball or do some of the things that we've done together for about 2 years. And he said to me, he's like, you don't recognize how amazing it is to have 2 working knees until you don't have one. Yeah. And now his knee's finally coming back around. It's been a 2-year journey for him. Wow. He's starting to be able to jog again. He was on a surfboard again. He's playing tennis. He's not playing basketball. And basketball might be a thing in the past for him just because of the knee trouble he's had. But like his level of gratitude for having 2 healthy knees to be able to get on a surfboard again is enormous. And I bet prior to the injury, he never focused on the fact that he had 2 healthy knees.
Right. Yeah. It's human nature. It doesn't make any of us a bad person. It's human nature when something's going wrong, it's like, oh yeah, I should have been grateful for that one thing. But, we have to take it easy on ourselves too, but we just have to be aware that that's the human pattern you just get used to having whatever that good thing is in your life and you sort of take it for granted. And we should try to do better, but still it's okay to take it easy on ourselves a bit too.
The next one is focus on the present, not on the past or the future.
Yeah. And that one, I really always remember the idea. I don't know if there's probably a quote on it. I don't know from who, but it's probably even in the book itself. But there's a quote, something like that, worrying about the future is anxiety and over focusing on the past is depression. I mean, for a lot of people, and that sort of idea was a wake up call to me because my mind was always, especially, around the time when I had those epiphanies, my mind was always in the future over, oh, this is going to go wrong and that's going to be stressful and that's going to be a headache. Or it was in the past of, why did I get this thing wrong? Or how did I mess that up so badly? And it's like, that was my entire mind. So this also was a pretty big epiphany or revelation for me. And, I think I would just say, I don't think that there's a perfection with it. I think it's something that we can all work towards, trying to be more present in our lives. Something else interesting I noticed is I heard somewhere that it was said, when somebody is truly present, like you can actually sense it and people gravitate towards that and might even find it beautiful, and it's something that you can sort of start to see if you're more perceptive. But really, at the end of the day, I'd say it starts with do what you can to be more present yourself. But it's also kind of interesting to see that you can observe, in a way, you can observe somebody else's level of presence, just through experience.
This is the one that I am working on the most.
Yeah. We live in a very distracted age.
It's the one I struggle with the most. But I agree. I think it's probably one of the happiest things we possibly can do. happiness is in the present. It's in the now.
Mm-hmm.
It's in this moment. Anytime I can get present to this moment and be really curious about it and really excited to be in the moment and just be where I am, that's a happy moment. And then I could be in the happiest place ever, right? I could be at my daughter's event, or I could be with my wife on a date. And if my mind is consumed about what somebody said to me that offended me yesterday, or if I'm worried about finances tomorrow, I'm in hell. Even though I'm literally in heaven, I'm with my family, or I'm with my wife, or I'm doing this really beautiful thing. If I'm not present to the beauty of the moment, I can be in a hell of my own mind.
Yeah. And I guess that's something that we naturally have more as children, but we sort of lose touch a little bit with that as we get older, and we have to retrain. Like an idea that comes to my mind a lot lately that I'm noticing is we have to retrain or relearn, because a lot of us know the right things, but we have to get back on track, because we sort of fall off and get back on track. And it's a part of life. Yeah. The presence thing is difficult to truly master and say, I'm done. I'm present and I'm done. Yeah. You return to it, right? Yeah. It's something we return to.
I think that's enlightenment.
Yeah, you're right. That would be enlightenment.
Enlightenment is I am fully present all the time, or at least, most of the time. This is, Eckhart Tolle wrote the book, The Power of Now. And I had a chance to go spend a weekend with him, and I love his books and I love his writing. But he was talking about how he'll still make plans and make goals and live in the future. And, and this is the guy that wrote a book about being in the now. So it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm really glad you said that, not because, Eckhart Tolle is imperfect. Haha. Like that's just,
he's awesome.
Basically the point I would say for the reader or for the listener is, I just think that's such an important point. No matter how high of a level somebody is, they're often relearning and retraining and refocusing and redoing certain things, because it's not in a way and I understand that as an author too. So it can be easier to conceptualize things for people to understand, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're at 100% mastery of that topic.
Totally. We've got two more thoughts. The sixth one is focus on what you need, not on what you want. Well, what does this one mean to you?
I think it's similar in a way to the focus on what you have. Like, we can get carried away with too many wants, too many things that we're shooting for that we don't really need. And I thought that chapter, or that thought, was really helpful for reevaluating what we really need in life, because a lot of us act like we need so many different things. And what I would say is need is like, maybe it's actually a scale, or a gradual scale. But, I think we try to add so many different things into that category of need that don't really belong. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard somebody say, like, I don't know what I'd die if I don't have that latte, or, like stuff like that it's okay. Maybe we have to reevaluate a little bit about what we really need. But so, yeah, I found that one useful for reframing that.
In the Bible, Jesus says all you really need is food and water.
Yeah.
I would add shelter. You didn't say that.
Yeah.
But what if you have food and you have water and you have shelter, you have everything you need to survive. That's it. And then, but if you think about it like this, 50 years ago, no one had a cell phone.
Right.
But now you need a cell phone to survive.
Yeah, that is true.
But you don't.
Yeah, you don't, but it sort of depends. I guess. We don't really need internet service to survive, but so many people make their living in some form on the internet. So, yeah.
The last thought, focus on what you can give, not on what you can take. This is a beautiful one. What where were you in your life when this like really made a difference for you?
That one has been gradual. I've really actually, maybe that shows the power of the book and how it's impacting so many people, but I've gradually, reflected or rethought a lot of these things. And that one, I sort of view that, I don't know if this will actually resonate with many people because it's sort of my unique experience, but, I just am aware that I've had a truly fortunate life and truly blessed life. And so many things have gone right in my life where to me, it's very important for me to give what I can, but I view it more as like, as helping others when I can, or offering advice or wisdom, just being there in some form and being available. Because the other thing I found is a lot of people don't actually reach out for much that often, so when somebody does, and if it's to me, I want to do what I can to be there. And I also view this on a larger scale. I'm here to be of value to humanity as much as I can, and to not for some, we all want some sort of personal gain and success, of course, but it's not strictly for that. It's more like there should be something larger, like I'm trying to actually make a difference for the sake of the other people who come into my life, not simply because, oh, I gained a reader or I gained a subscriber or something. But, and, I think that's the direction most of us probably move in time, where, that's just the way humanity tends to evolve. You start thinking of yourself, and then you think of your inner circle. And then in time, you get to a point where you're thinking of broader circles or humanity, or even beyond that. There's other creatures and other things too. But I sort of view that I'm here to be of service to others, and that's what I have to give. And so that I am, maybe we're all a gift, so we have to understand the level that we have a gift, and that we even are a gift, and like lean into that and actually, do what we're here to do. Your gift is you're here too. So, you're tapping into your gifts as well, just by doing what you're doing.
And I love that this is the last thought, because I agree with you. This is once we've gotten the other ones down, mm-hmm. and we are focusing on what we can control and being positive ourselves, and, focusing on what we have and not what we don't have. And now we're strong. Now it's, well, now that I'm so strong, what am I giving from this place of strength, rather than how could I keep taking and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger? And we're designed this way to actually be rewarded as we give. Like we feel amazing. You do something nice for somebody, like a glow comes over you, especially if you know you made an impact. And I think our Creator designed us in a way that made us feel amazing when we were helping others. And that's all we need to know right there. You feel great doing it. You feel happy and fulfilled doing it. Then that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, really what we put out there in the world, it does find its way back to us. There's something to that karmic or karma type of idea.
Isaac, it has just been a pleasure reading your books, getting to know you. You're so vulnerable and real and authentic. I love that you didn't come on here saying that you have it all figured out, and you always have. You came on here saying, hey, I struggle too. What's one thought you would leave our listener with if they're struggling?
If they're struggling, I would say, I already said this earlier, but I think it's so important. Find the right people in your life that you can trust, that you know are there for you, or they have tried to be there for you in the past, and go to them. Even, if you don't have that, go to other figures in your life that you look up to, because you may be surprised that, people, I answer emails. I know plenty of people who are, best-selling authors or whatnot, have a lot of accomplishments, and they answer emails. So a lot of people think that people are unreachable, but they're not. They very well may be reachable. But I would start with your inner circle, your family, the people that you really trust, your best friends. Don't try to go, if you're struggling that hard, don't try to go through that whole journey alone, because you don't have to, and people out there want to help you and support you. And a lot of times just getting something off of your chest a little bit can make a difference for you on its own. So that can help get you on the right path. But, and also don't be afraid to seek professional help. You know, if you're to that level, please do not be afraid to seek professional help. I've had to do it. And I know plenty of people who have had to do it. They don't all talk about it publicly, and that's okay. But, you know, just don't be afraid to do it. So many people have had to do it at one point or another in their lives, and that's okay.
I choose to do it. Even when I'm feeling like things are going pretty well, I still want professionals to talk with me, because there's insights that I just can't see that they usually can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is a way that people could get immersed in your work and get in touch with you or learn more from you?
You're welcome to go to robledothoughts.com. And of course, my books are on Amazon and wherever books are sold. So I publish under IC Robledo, my initials IC. So I welcome anybody to check out my work through my website or through the bookseller store that they enjoy going to.
My man, thank you for being a light in the world. I appreciate you coming today.
Thank you too. It's been a great pleasure to be here. Really appreciate it.
What a powerful and deeply human conversation. Issac didn't just share his wisdom, he shared his heart. He shared his journey through depression and anxiety and to the light on the other side. It was powerful, it was vulnerable, and it was authentic, and I loved it. Here are the top 5 takeaways from today. Number 1, focus on the positive, not the negative. This single insight from deep meditation helped Issac recognize he was living in a cycle of negativity, and it sent him on a years-long journey to reclaim his joy and become more positive. Number 2, focus on what you can control, not what you can't. So much of our stress comes from trying to control the uncontrollable, but real happiness starts with mastering your mind, which is your focus. Number 3, focus on what you can do, not what you can't. Can't is a limiting word. Issac reminds us to flip the script and ask, what can I do? Oftentimes we get really creative and resourceful, and we find out we can do a lot more than we thought. Number 4, focus on what you have, not what you lack. Gratitude will shift everything when it comes to happiness. When you realize you already have enough right now, your mindset naturally becomes more beautiful. And number 5, focus on giving, not on taking. The final and perhaps most powerful shift is that happiness multiplies when you give from a place of strength. Your purpose grows as you serve others. So I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 thoughts resonates most deeply with you in your life right now? Just drop the one that resonates most deeply in the comments below. Is it positive, control, can, have, present, need, or give? Hey, if this episode helped you shift your perspective on 1 degree more towards joy, peace, and purpose, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we talk about how to become your happiest self every single week. We'll see you next week on Good Mood Revolution.